everyone. So there is nothing more empowering, yes, I put the word in there, than taking your life back. My name is Dana Rutherford. I advocate for survivors of trauma and domestic violence. Thank you to the Pasco County Clerk and Comptroller, and always Sunrise of Pasco, a special place in my heart, for giving me the opportunity to share today. So this room, it has walls, it has a ceiling, it has a floor, like it looks like a typical room, but it's not just an ordinary room. Courageous lives will be saved and improved thanks to this empowerment room. You will never know how much a helping hand will touch a survivor's heart. And how do I know that? Because that survivor was once me. I grew up as the middle children, in a family of 5, and my parents were wonderful people, but they were addicted to prescription drugs. I remember feeling like I could be a pharmacist at the age of 9. My brother, sister, and I would joke that we were prescription drug names because we wanted to hear a name more. They were beautiful people that had a problem, but it made us become neglected as children. It created a yearning in me to be loved and wanted, and that's how that happened at 15 years old. At 15 years old, I met this boy at church camp. They're everywhere. He was 16 years old and a foster child, so he understood the pain that I was enduring in a house full of instability. We formed this unbreakable trauma bond, and the attachment felt intoxicating and addicting all in itself. There were many red flags that I ignored. I mean, he had a temper, but you know, he had a rough life. His life was horrible. And yeah, sometimes he gave me the silent treatment, but I needed to rescue him, and I wanted him to rescue me. So we decided to get married at 18, when I was 18 years old, because I wanted the happily ever after. Just 2.5 months after I got married, my mother suddenly died from her battle with addiction, followed by my father just 3 weeks later. We took in my little brother, who would die at just 24 years old to the same fate. The abuse started as we were dating, but I never saw it that way. I thought he had to be punching me in the face. You see the movies, the battered woman, for it to be abuse. So much, I just thought, okay, well, sometimes he's not so nice. So much of the abuse that I endured left lasting marks, but they were emotional and psychological. But it progressed as time went on. He was not the same at 15 as he was in his 30s. I didn't see that the physical abuse even started much earlier than I realized. He would break sentimental items. My mom's stuff passed away, he would break it. My grandmother gave me a very vintage mirror, he broke that. And he punched holes in the wall and things to make me fear. It's about power and control. He would grab me, hold me, and shove me sometimes, and I still didn't think it was physical abuse. But eventually he started to hit me and kick me. He would throw food and drink on me, and he would spit on me. He slammed my head so hard into a wall one time that my makeup left a stain. And after he was done with that, he would cry and beg for mercy, and I would give him that. I have to say that the honeymoon stage became addicting. The abuse is awful, and I would be so just hurt and stunned and disoriented, but there was this little part of me that knew that that honeymoon stage was coming, and they shower you with all the love and everything you've ever wanted to win you back. You know, at first I would resist, but it was just, I wanted that. That's my husband. The same person that is hurting me, I'm running to for support. As soon as I let my guard down and I let him back in, the cycle would continue. But the tides began to change one day because I finally had the nerve to call the police on him. And there were so many times that the neighbors called, and I'd say, oh, no, we're just fighting. Although I was confused and like upset, I didn't want to press charges, because a lot of times with survivors, they will call and then they start to panic. And it's too late, the abuser's arrested, and now you're freaking out because you're scared they're gonna hurt you when they come out. I thought that that would be the end of it. But they did something here at this courthouse that I found really annoying at the time that would play a major part in my escape from abuse and being here today with you. The court ordered that if I wanted to drop the mandatory no contact order, that I would have to meet with a domestic violence advocate at Sunrise of Pasco. I can be honest and say that I was frustrated with this. Now I have to schedule this appointment, I have to go to Dade City, like someone's gonna preach at me and say, well, why haven't you left, and this and that. But it forced me in a way, not in a negative connotation, but it pushed me along to go see the advocate that I would have never seen on my own. Am I being dramatic, filling out this paperwork that calls him an abuser? I couldn't utter the words victim or domestic violence even after all he had done. And I can tell you on a side note, true healing comes when that moment comes that you can say, that's domestic violence. When I sat with this very sweet lady, she was an advocate, she never once judged me. She never told me that I was crazy or overly emotional. She never said, well, why haven't you left? Why haven't you gotten out? Or any other the victim shaming things that we often hear as survivors. That's the statement that she said though that like really stuck out to me, and I can still vividly see it in my head today. She just leaned over after I had said, oh, it wasn't this and that, and she said, sweetie, if he's abused you like that, it's always been there. It was just lying dormant in him. I don't know why, but that started to make me, the wheels turning. I allowed him back, and that was in October of 2018. But by November of 2018, I was starting to really plan my escape. So it only took within a month of just meeting with that advocate to give me that courage and to play those words in my mind over and over. He did not like the pulling away. The desperation became worse, but I knew that my children being taken by CPS or something happening to me and my children being in the system because of that was a real concern, and I needed to think of them. So many times we think, oh, we stay for the kids, but reality is sometimes that is the worst thing you can do, and in my circumstance that was. So in November of 2018, at 33 years old, and after 14 and a half years of marriage, me and my 3 boys left, bouncing around friends' houses, hotels, for almost 4 months homeless. But I finally found this little trailer in Lutz to call my own. It was not pretty. It needed a whole renovation. I had to fight off pests. It was not pretty, but for the first time in my life, I felt safe. Sunrise of Pasco stepped in, and they provided me and my children weekly counseling. They helped us with school supplies, food. They always had the Publix bakery items. My kids loved going there. They would run in, are we going to Sunrise today? And we so badly needed that love at that time, and Sunrise provided that. I ended up having to, when I moved to Lutz, it was on the Hillsborough side of Lutz, so there was a lot of abuse happening through the co-parenting that people don't talk about. The kids are suddenly a weapon, and you have to release them. But a lot of people don't know, and I didn't even know that if you don't have a parenting plan, they can come take them at any time. There's nothing you can do. So one day I went for a walk around just my neighborhood to get some fresh air. He caught wind, came up, and as I'm coming back to my house, he's putting them in the car. And he tried to call the police on me for abandoning them. I literally just walked in a circle, which it wasn't found to be abandonment, but they said you have to let him take them. So now he has my children. He's not telling me what he's doing. He's not telling me where he's going. They said, I suggest you go get a no contact order or file for an injunction for protection. So that's what I did. I drove up to this large courthouse in Tampa, if you've been there, and I was terrified, and I almost walked out multiple times because, like she said, you're scared, you're freaking out, you don't know what's going on, I don't know where my kids are. It was a much different experience than this. I walked into this little room, a lady handed me a packet that looked like a book and said, here you go. And I could barely think straight at that moment, let alone fill out endless paperwork. That some of the forms are physical forms that you find in divorce paperwork. It is a lot of work. Imagine how different that experience could have been for me if I had this. But after I got on my feet in 2019, I decided to show my boys what a strong woman looks like after many years of dimming my light. I signed up for college and graduated just last year from the University of Florida, my childhood dream school, with my bachelor's degree in sociology with honors, walking the stage in a cap and gown for the very first time in my life at 36 years old. I had to drop out at 16 because of my parents' instability. So just 20 years later that I was walking, crying my eyes out, the oldest one there, but it was amazing. I also interned and worked for an organization called Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence, as well as worked for the Spring of Tampa Bay, just locally. And I created a website just 2 years ago called The Trauma Survivor's Guide to Life Abundantly. And now I'm building it as my own business to educate and uplift survivors of trauma in the day-to-day after the crisis ends, as well as highlight empowered survivors in our area and businesses that are doing things for the community. And it's so funny because on the website, I literally have survivor empowerment, and I did not know that that was gonna be the word. So it was meant to be. So I also remarried my incredible husband who's filming for me, thank you, in 2020, right dead smack in the middle of COVID. He's also in the fight to help others heal from trauma. After serving 14 years in law enforcement in St. Petersburg, he now works for Sunrise of Pasco. I connected them together, and advocates with me through our website and speaking engagements. He has further shown me though that love can be healthy and build you up instead of tear you down. I hope that I'm living proof to somebody here or to somebody outside that you can come from absolutely nothing, fight incredible odds, start over, and not just survive, but be empowered and live. To everyone at Sunrise of Pasco, words will never be adequate enough to express my gratitude. What you continue to do for victims and survivors of domestic violence is heroic and life-changing. To that judge, I don't know if you're in the room because I don't remember my judge's name, but to that judge that ordered me to go to Sunrise, whoever you are, I'm sorry for my thoughts of aggravation. I now wish that there were more judges like you, and I would love this to be a mandatory law for all no contact orders in Florida, let alone here. And honestly, that does not happen everywhere. I've been obviously in Hillsborough, and not everybody orders those, so thank you. This empowerment room impacts me more than you know. The gratitude comes from a deep part of my heart because this courthouse, Sunrise, they not only played a deep part of my healing and transformation, but I have 3 children at home, 3 boys, and they're breaking that generational curse. They are thriving, and they now see a healthy relationship, a healthy home, and all of that could not have happened without the support and help from both entities, so thank you. And for every person that I help from this point on, because I like to talk a lot, I'm very stubborn, and I will be talking, you all will have a hand in their healing too, because from there I will take that and I will multiply it. So just it was only a little over it was 4 to 4.5 years ago, I was in this courthouse in front of a judge getting that order, and now I'm here. It's a full circle, and I never thought 4.5 years ago I would be here. So I hope that today I have encouraged you all that there is always hope. Thank you.
That was an amazing